Today we're going to talk about the EcoFlow Delta Pro. I've got one already attached to the smart home panel, and I bought another one. I'd like redundancy, backup, and the ability to take one out camping with the Winnebago RV. And I don't want the panel to be dead of battery backup, so I will have a battery at home and a battery on the camping trip. So I'm going to unbox this one. They weigh 100 pounds, so it does take a little bit of oomph to get them out of the box, so we'll give it a try here. On the top is the box with, I'm sure it's got some of the documentation and some of the cables and that sort of thing. Put that off to the side. Take the top foam off. Then we got a quick start guide, which is pretty bare bones, but nowadays there's a lot on the YouTube channels describing the EcoFlow in all its glory. And from here I'm going to tip the box on end. Just want to see the best end to go with, so I get the wheels more or less on the bottom. Okay, I have it up on end, and I'll let you watch me struggle to get this thing out of the box. Hopefully it won't be too hard. There we go, on the wheels. You can see there's nothing really inside the box at this point, so everything is out. Now we're going to go through the process of getting it turned on, hooked up to start the charging process, etc., etc. And there is a special cable right into a, which you can see on the wall there. All right, now I'm going to attempt to get it up on that little platform. I just have that there in case there's water on the floor. There's a hot water heater in here and a sink, and things can leak, and tends not to be very much water, but definitely don't want it going into the battery. So we'll see if I can get this up on that little wood step up. And we are here in the Phoenix area, so this is basically winter time. We don't have to worry too much about heat, but in the summer heat is going to be an issue, so I try and keep things reasonably separated and keep the fan vents free. We're close to the wall and so forth. I'm going to do a little more research to make sure I'm far enough away from everything, and I will be watching the temperature, which is on the app, the EcoFlow app. Make sure these things don't overheat. So right now it looks like it's set up pretty well. It's somewhat offset here so that I can plug in the second infinity cable without tangling up with the first one. And the first thing I'm probably going to want to do is plug this thing in, let it charge just for a little while. Make sure it has enough charge to get linked up with the app and get on the internet and that sort of thing. So here are the cables that come with the Delta Pro. They want you to use this standard cable in order to charge it up, rather than just any old cable you find laying around. And I'm sure that it is reasonably well built and will provide the amperage required. This one says 15 amp, 125 volt. But I suppose if you have one of those 5-year warranties, you'll want to do everything the way it's supposed to be done. This, for me, is a refurbished, and I have a 2-year eBay warranty on it. Still a little bit of a you better do things the way you're supposed to issue to maintain warranty, but probably a little more flexible. And the cable here is obviously a cigarette lighter connector, and then this is the standard plug that goes into the DC side. It's a similar plug that connects to the solar panels. And this guy, I think, is just a 12 volt connector to charge up some of your 12 volt devices. Anyway, that wasn't clearly stated on the instructions as a quick start, so I'm going to go ahead and plug this thing into the 20 amp circuit and see if I can get it started charging. So you can see I've got the input wire standard AC connector attached to the back. It's the upper set of connections into my 20 amp 110 circuit, and then I press the button in front to turn the thing on, and it's sitting at 24%, which is probably good enough to let it connect up with the internet. So I'm going to go through that process. I'll explain it as I go. So since I'm using my phone for the video, and I'm going to use the phone to get to the app, what I'm going to do is explain what I'm going to do, see if it works, and then I'll come back to the video and show you the screen on the front and what's going on there. So first of all, notice that the Bluetooth symbol is flashing away there right above all the zeros. So next thing I'm going to do is see if I can press the plus sign on the app and see if they will start to connect. And it was even easier than I thought. Once I brought the app up, about 2 seconds after it came up, it saw the new EcoFlow Pro, Delta Pro, and it had a little button at the bottom that said add. Yes, I pressed the button, and the next thing it started to connect. It asked about internet connection and password, and then it went through its process of connecting to the device and eventually binding to the internet and then binding to the phone, and everything worked fine. So here we are, connected up. So the next thing I want to do is try connecting the infinity cable. So I will disconnect the AC 20 amp input plug that's charging it right now, and then I'll plug the infinity cable into the EcoFlow, and then plug it into the AC2 connection up on top in the smart home panel. So you notice that I had to reorient the two Delta Pros in order for all the cabling to fit correctly. So far so good. I got both cables in. They're both showing up on the app, and I need to go out to the breaker box now and turn on the 30 amp circuit for the second Delta Pro. That's what's used to charge the Delta Pro. You can see now I've got the two Delta Pros side by side, and they are providing current to the house in the late afternoon, evening. They charge up early midday when the sun is shining on the solar panels. Now, this is in the garage, and I'm backing the truck right into this area, so I have to be a little careful about where the cables are so I don't run over them. They're pretty well protected at this point. You see to the left is my table saw. I don't use it very often, so tucking it here is fine, but you know, if I'm working on the batteries, I pull it out, and gives me room to work. Now I'm going to have to make a few adjustments here because I do have some concerns about what's going to happen in the summer. Right now temperatures are in the 60s, and the Delta Pros run just fine, perfect temperature for them. But as we get into the summer, it's going to get really hot, and the temperature inside those boxes will get pretty high. So giving that some thought, I will do more research on it. But I do know that the fan pulls air from this side and blows it that way, so then this EcoFlow Delta Pro will do the same thing. So what I could do is take a small cooler or AC unit, place it right here, move the tub, and have it blow through. It'll be a little warmer as it hits the second one, but not too bad. And then I'll run the pipe that pulls the hot air away from the AC down to the vent that's on the way down on the other side of the garage. So just my first thinking, I will do some more reviews and see what other people are doing. But I do want to keep the heat under control. In light of that also, I have made adjustments in the scheduler to not charge the batteries up as fast as they could charge, because that of course creates heat. How much energy comes out of the batteries for the house, I don't have a whole lot of control over that. I'm not connected to anything huge, not connected to the dryer or to the range or to the HVAC. But all the other stuff doesn't amount to a whole lot of current. Between the two batteries, they go down maybe to 50% during that period of time when they are providing power to the house. And then, of course, they charge up the next morning. Now, in the summertime, when temperatures are well above 100, same thing will be happening. Now, I might have to make a shift and charge the batteries a little earlier. The sun will be up, and it'll be a little bit cooler. Then in the evening, I have to decide, am I going to start charging when it's really hot, or do I wait for sundown and just catch the tail end of the high cost period of electricity? So I'll just be experimenting with that. It depends on a lot of things. Here's the EcoFlow app. You can see I am charging about one kilowatt, not quite, the Delta Pro 2. It was not set up to charge correctly, but it's now correct. So a lot of good information on this, and I am going to take some shots at different times, one during the charging of the batteries and one during the discharging of the batteries to run the home. Let's see what we got here. You can see the input is almost 900 watts, and the temperature is sitting at 66 degrees Fahrenheit, which isn't bad. I'm sure it runs pretty well then. And let's see what the other one is at. It should be plenty cool because it's not doing anything at the moment, so it's 68 degrees. And the battery is charged to, it says 100%. Now I've told it don't charge over 90%. Again, just following videos out there, that seems to be the consensus on how to keep the battery viable for as long as possible. And just a quick look at the schedule that I've set up here. So power outage, obviously we want to switch the battery back up, but I am scheduling the recharge and the switch during the day. So the recharge, you can see, is set up between 10 and 2 for both Delta Pros, and the switch to backup is set up between 5 and 9. Again, power comes from both Delta Pros, and it's kind of interesting. I know at one point it would take just from one Delta Pro until it was well down and then go to the other, but now my consensus is, my vision is that it's taking a little from one and a little from the other, and it switches back and forth. So it's the way you want it, just to keep the battery from overheating.